Hey everybody, welcome to Galactic Wisdom. It's good to be back here with you all. Today I want to talk about something that is very important, being nice to each other. And that might seem like an obvious thing that there's maybe not much to say about that, but being nice to each other is something that a lot of people find quite hard to do. And a lot of people really don't understand that a lot of their little actions that they do on a daily basis are really the opposite of that. And if we're to evolve as a species and as individuals, then intellectualizing how to be nice to each other a little bit is going to be very valuable, I think, for people. Now, before I get into that, I want to just give a little update on where I am and what I'm doing. I am pre-recording this show before I leave to go to Europe and host three alien contact events in Europe. One event is going to be in Wales, in the location on a hill called Hay Bluff in Wales, where the opening scenes of the movie An American Werewolf in London were filmed. So I'm excited to do an alien contact event on that hill. I'm advising people to bring along werewolf repellent spray, but hopefully we won't encounter any werewolves, so I think we will probably be okay. The second event is going to be in Stonehenge in England. I'm really excited to go there again. I went there a couple of decades ago, and it's an amazing place. I think it's changed quite a lot. There's a new visitor center there that I haven't been to before, and you have to sort of take a shuttle backwards and forwards to Stonehenge, which actually looks better. It looks like there's going to be less clutter around Stonehenge itself. I'm really looking forward to getting there and doing an alien contact meditation there. And then the following day, I am going to be in Calais in France. I've just been told by my P&O ferries, whom I booked a ferry crossing across, that they've changed my time to ferry across the English Channel, and I'm going to be arriving there late at night. And it's on a Sunday when there's not much public transportation, so I'm just hoping I'm not going to have to walk for hours to get to my hotel from the P&O ferry terminal. But it should be fun to then host a alien contact event in a park in the center of Calais. We're going to try and connect with some French people and maybe some French aliens, who knows. Now I'm talking about this like this is what I'm going to do, because I haven't yet done it yet, but I've recorded this, and by the time you're watching this, I will have done those three events. And next week when I see you, I hope to be able to tell you how they went. I'm going to share my calendar with you for the next few days in case anybody's interested in joining me for any of my upcoming events. So hopefully this will be released on Thursday, the 4th of April. And this evening, there is going to be a video release in my Patreon group of a Galactic Council remote viewing that is going to be in the past when you listen to this, but it is in my future. It is tomorrow for me. That should be quite an interesting video release. On Sunday, I'm going to be doing some healing with a being called Tuk Tuk. People are welcome to join me for that if you want to. I do that most Sundays. I'm going to be remote viewing the Galactic Council on 3 Thursdays this month, and you are welcome to join us for those remote viewing sessions if you want to. We connect with different beings every time we go to the Galactic Council. We're getting to know them, and we're building up an interesting relationship with them. Those are a couple of drawings by Laura Walker. Thank you very much for those drawings of beings that she has seen and we've all encountered during those Galactic Council remote viewing sessions. In purple here on April the 20th and April the 21st, I am hosting at a Contact and Ascension community home in California. I am hosting a retreat, and you're all invited to come to that if you want to. So If you would like to find out the details of that, then send me a message if you want to, or come to my one of my meetings in my Galactic Wisdom Facebook group, and I'll be happy to share all of the information with you. So that's a little preview of what's coming up, things that you might want to get involved with. If you enjoy watching these shows on KGRA, I would like to just promote KGRA a little bit. Just for a small monthly membership fee, you can have access to hundreds of live podcasts and recordings of podcasts like this one. If you do join KGRA, then please do enter in the promotional code Galaxy, the code word Galaxy, and you will get a discount on your membership. Okay, so I would like today to talk to you about being nice to each other. There are three main messages that alien beings have been giving to us for decades when we have had contact with them. This is not just me. This is hundreds of different people out there who have had experiences with alien beings landing in front of them, or giving them mental imagery of situations coming up, giving us messages. And the three main messages that they've been giving to us for decades are: one, nuclear weapons are not a good idea. Two, we need to be kinder to our environment, to treat our environment better. And three, be nice to each other. Now, I spend quite a lot of time talking about nuclear weapons, nuclear war, and how bad that is, and we need to get on top of that, and we should probably start voting for people who are more stable in the way they interact with other countries, less confrontational, just more harmonious, while at the same time drawing lines saying, no, you can't do this, you shouldn't be doing that. We need wisdom when it comes to dealing with international relations. And I'm not going to name names. I'm just going to say the word wisdom and let you decide who I might be talking about or not. That's really all I can say about nuclear war. I also talk quite a lot about climate change. And as a scientist, I have hosted sessions on podcasts where I teach the science of climate change. And it's very clear, and we're very clearly heading in a very bad direction. And I'm not surprised that our alien friends are giving us advice to get on top of this issue, which we are not doing, unfortunately. But here today, I'm not going to talk really about climate change. Here today, I'm going to move on to the third message that they give to us a lot, and that is that we should all be nice to each other. Now, that might seem like an obvious and a simple message that we should just know, but humans often don't do so well when it comes to being nice to each other. I have put up this image before. This is just an image that I found online of the conflicts that are in the world. Well, this is probably about a year old, but the conflicts that are in the world right now. And you can see that a lot of the world is covered in colors that indicate conflict. It looks to me like probably approximately half of the area of the populated world is having some form of armed conflict or war. This is not good. And this is not an unusual situation in our history. This is what humanity tends to do. Throughout our history, we have warred, we get into conflicts, we invade other countries. And it's not just violent conflict, physically violent conflict. It's verbally violent, it's emotionally, psychologically, mentally. Humans are very often violent to each other. That's very sad, but that's the situation we face. Today, I am going to talk about what can we really do to raise our level of niceness and therefore attain greater peace on this planet. It has to start with individuals, and that's why I'm talking to you today. Now, I go on podcasts a lot with different people, and often we talk about the problems that are out there, and we say, just be nice to each other, be more peaceful to each other. Today, I'm going to look at that in more depth. How should we be nicer to each other? How can we be nicer to each other? How can we raise our level of peace, raise our vibrational state? How can we ascend to higher levels when it comes to being nice to each other and being peaceful with each other? So I'm going to go into details, and I've got some notes in front of me that I'm going to refer to. I apologize if my eyes are going all over the screen at my different notes and the fly that's up there, enjoying my light up there. But I'm going to go into specifics. Now, the message that I receive from these alien beings is that they want us, quite simply, to put peace first. Peace above everything else. If we could do that as a species, then that image of conflicts and wars, that would just go away. I find that it's helpful when we talk about morality, when I talk about morality, when I think about morality, to have a list of priorities. What's most important to us in our lives, what's next most important, all the way down to what is the least important thing in our lives. So I could ask you the question, what's the most important thing in your lives to you? And morality is subjective, so I'm not going to tell you what the right answer is. What I am going to do is tell you what I subjectively consider the right answer to be, and what our alien friends consider the right answer to be. They want us to put peace at the top of our list of priorities. So when we do that, when we answer a question like what is the most important thing to us, it is extremely important, because when we promote one thing in our lives to be the most important, we automatically demote all of the other things in our lives to be less important. Mathematically, you can only maximize one variable at a time, and intellectually, even with things like peace and love and happiness and land and religion and beliefs and country, and we can only maximize one thing. When we do that, when we maximize peace, automatically you find that happiness and other things follow along by being quite high up, but they're not maximized. So if we consider what is the most important thing in our lives to us, out of things like love, peace, money, possessions, a home, land, God, a religion, food, happiness, our country, personal power, your political party of choice, your family, Star Wars, SpongeBob, whatever is important to you, when we ask that question, we have to think very carefully, because whatever you put on top, it means that you're not going to maximize the other things. If you do not put peace on top of your list, then you are going to have more conflict, less peace, more violence in the world and in your lives. So this is important to consider. I'm going to give an example of this. Is love more important, or is peace more important? Now, this is a hard one, because obviously they're both very, very good things. I like them both enormously, but which is more important? I would say that love is perhaps the biggest gift that has evolved to be given to us in this universe. And at least from my limited human perspective, it seems that it's the most wonderful thing in the world, love in any form. But is it more important than peace? If love is more important, then we could justify being non-peaceful if it is to protect love. But if peace is more important, then we could justify being non-loving in order to protect the peace. So what do you think? I'd be interested to know. Put your comments, write down your comments and let everybody know what you think. I'm going to tell you what I think. Well, let's think of examples first of all. A world in which love is more important than peace might look a little bit like the planet, or is it a moon, in the Avatar movies. I'm not sure if it's a planet or a moon. But in those Avatar movies with those blue Avatar beings, they love the environment. They love all the animals around them. But you see them hunting the animals, killing the animals. There is not peace on that planet, even if the humans weren't there, even if it was just these wise alien beings. They are loving those beings. When they kill them, they're like saying little prayers and things, but they're still killing them. If you were to think about our history as a human species, there have been many times when humans, in the name of love, have inflicted death upon others, trying to save their souls, for example. People have inflicted great violence and acted very immorally to others, in a way that they're doing it out of love for the person. At least I don't know how sincere that love is, but that's what they've done. You can love others, but at the same time hurt them deliberately. That's a world that I'm not so keen on. It would probably be a better world than the world we live in today, because love is not the number one thing that most people put at the top of their lists. So it would be a better world, but maybe not the world that I would like to have. A world in which peace is more important than love might be one in which the peace is maintained. There's no wars, there's no violence. The peace is maintained, but how do we do that maintaining of peace? Sometimes we have to do it by separating non-peaceful people from others, banishing them, if there was enough room on the planet to banish people still, or isolating them as much as we can, maybe by putting them in prisons. Now, when we do that, we may be introducing a deficit of love into the lives of those violent people. It's hard to be part of a loving community if you're in a prison, or if you're isolated, banished on some remote desert island somewhere by yourself. But you're protecting the peace. The world is a more peaceful place. The violent people are kept separated from the non-violent people. Peace is the number one thing on the planet. That's what our alien friends prefer. That is what I prefer personally. Now, again, that's a subjective opinion. I don't claim that that's morally right, but intellectually, when I intellectualize it, that seems like the best option. Now, if you were to have a very peaceful planet, I think our walls, our boundaries would drop. We'd be a lot more trusting in safety, and the world would become a much more loving place, because there would be only very, very, very small and infrequent incidences of violence. So I do think that would be a very, very good situation that is conducive to promoting love, but love maybe wouldn't be on the top of the list. What happens if we choose to put something like money on the top of our lists? Money or personal power at the top of our lists? Well, then you could justify things like stealing, mugging people in order to get that money. Unfairly distributing money so that you get more than other people do. It becomes a lot less pleasant, and really money and power is what our world is. The people in power are placing at the top of the list at the moment. That's why we're plowing into climate change, is because some people are getting rich out of destroying our planet. That's not so good. Personal power, not so good. Personal power, that might be like a dictator who doesn't care about others and is willing to kill people and do whatever is necessary, incite violence, have less peace in order to maximize their personal power. That's not good. That's something we see a lot on this planet. What about putting land at the top of our list of priorities, or religious beliefs? Well, there are places in the world right now where actively there are wars in places where peace is not at the top of the list of the priorities of people in that country, in that place. They have chosen in some areas of the world, I'm not going to be too specific, I don't want to offend anybody in particular, but you can probably think of places where religious beliefs cause people to do things that are violent. I personally don't see that as being a wise choice to be making. Political ideologies, we shouldn't be putting that above all else. If you put your political party and your affiliation and your commitment to them as being ahead of anything else, then you lose the maximization of peace, and then you can have violence. I could keep going on and on, listing examples of where if you put other things above peace, you don't get peace. So it's my assertion, it's my conviction that I would like you to consider that when you put anything at all above peace, any of those things that I've mentioned, if you put any of those above peace, then you're contributing either directly or indirectly to a less violent planet, a less peaceful and more violent planet. I'd like you to maybe consider that. Go away and think about it. Beliefs are something that people hold very dear to themselves. Belief in anything is usually associated with great passion. And when you put a belief above peace, whatever it is, then you're going to result in you're going to end up with more violence. I get a lot of people listening to me talk, coming to my events, watching my podcasts, listening to me speak, and they're with me and with me and with me and with me until they realize that I don't share the same belief as them in whatever it is. It could be anything. And when they realize that I have different beliefs than they do, it's very common for them to be non-peaceful towards me, to act with aggression in their words or their actions. That happens a lot. So I think this is an important thing to consider. I think it's important for us to consider in our everyday lives, in our everyday relationships, for example. If you're in a relationship, whatever kind of relationship it is, family relationship, friendship, a romantic relationship, if you're in a relationship that has violence within it, then you're not putting, maybe you're not putting peace at the top of your list of priorities. And even though it's a very, very hard thing to do, I personally have decided on a few occasions in the past that peace is more important than simply keeping the relationship alive, keeping the relationship going. And I've stepped away from relationships in order to maximize peace. And that's often hard. It's often hard for days, weeks, months, but eventually that peace that being out of that relationship brings allows you to then connect with other peaceful beings and build more peaceful relationships instead of violent relationships. So I'm going to look at more ways of how we can be nice to each other, because there's a lot of different points that I'd like to make here. One of the ways is how we deal with others who are violent or dark to us. It's okay to say, let's be peaceful. Let's put peace at the top of our list of priorities. But what happens if somebody comes to you into your space and starts being violent? Am I saying that we shouldn't use force to defend ourselves? Should we defend ourselves at all? Because isn't defending ourselves a violent act, a non-peaceful act? Should we, as pacifists, simply let people hurt us? Well, I think the answer is no. We shouldn't allow that. I would ask us to consider intellectually the two different options. If you let somebody be violent to you, that's not a peaceful act. If you are able to stop them from being violent to you with a reasonable force, with force that is, even if it's violence that is not greater than the violence that they're imposing upon you, with comparable force, then, well, there's about equal both situations, either letting yourself be attacked and hurt, or attacking and hurt, or defending and hurting that person. They're equal in the amount of peace that's in the world, approximately. But if you're defending yourself against somebody, you might, with violence, you might then cause that person also, as a consequence, to be more careful about how they're acting around others. And even though your purpose would be to defend yourself, you might end up by being non-peaceful to them in self-defense. You probably would end up in a situation where overall in the universe there's less violence. So I do not think that it is okay if somebody is coming and attacking you in an immediate, violent way. Personally, I think it's justifiable and moral, and still putting peace at the top of your list of priorities to defend yourself with reasonable force. And I could then look at other issues. Well, what happens if they're attacking your family or your friends? And then you can say, well, with my family members, I know them well. I probably know if my family member is deserving to be attacked, like maybe this person is defending themselves against my family member, in which case, it's a bit different. But yeah, if somebody is around you and you're very close to them and you have knowledge that this attack is unprovoked, then also defending them in reasonable force would be acceptable. But we start to become, this starts to become problematic the further away from us that we go, because we know ourselves, we know our own life, we know our own actions, we know our own motivations, we know our relationship with the person that's attacking us, whether we have any kind of connection to them or not. We know whether that attack is in some way justified to them, or we provoked that attack. We don't know that nearly to the same level. I would say we just don't know it at all, in fact, with family and friends. And the further away we go from us, like, okay, there's just somebody in the street who you don't know and you see them get attacked, it gets harder. Should a country interfere in another country's affairs at a distance? We don't know often all of the facts associated with everybody that's involved in those situations. And when you start to make yourself a police person who goes around attacking others that you think are being attacked by other, I'm sorry, when you go around defending people with violence, then you run the risk of hurting innocent people, of making the wrong judgments. And that's hard. And the truth is, making that judgment is very hard. And we can't make that judgment with knowledge. We can try to understand a situation, but we have to take a bit of a leap of faith. We have to reach a conclusion that might not be 100% certain, and that becomes dangerous. There is a concept in Star Trek of the Prime Directive, where you just don't get involved with the other people's relationships or business or affairs or internal struggles, because you don't have the perspective to be able to judge that situation properly, and what you do might end up being the wrong moral decision. So it then becomes hard, and there's sort of a gray area as you move away from yourself, where things are pretty certain to where things are not certain at all. And what my instincts tell me, and what my alien friends are telling me, is try not to get too involved in the affairs of other people. There is an image that has been circulating for, well, I've been seeing it on and off for months, been circulating in social media, and some of you, I'm sure, will have seen this before. The mistake you should never make in this life is to allow yourself to be recruited by someone to hate another person who hasn't wronged you. Only a fool inherits other people's enemies as a sign of loyalty. This is important because a lot of the hatred and violence that is in this world is projected by people who actually don't have first-hand knowledge of the situation. They are inheriting somebody else's conflict, and they are showing loyalty to a friend, or loyalty to just whoever's Facebook post they read first. It's not wise to allow yourself to be recruited by others to hate or be violent in any way anybody else. So that's a very important message that I would like to put across to you. People are making judgments all the time, moral judgments about others that result in attacks, physical attacks, verbal attacks, attacks on social media. Judgments are being made that result in people trying to discipline somebody, get revenge on somebody, hold people accountable. There are all these words that can be used for basically doing something bad to somebody that you think is somehow balancing out karma, or getting justice somehow. Humans are not good at doing this. People are convicted all the time in the legal system, and a lot of the time outside of the legal system. People are being convicted all the time in people's minds, judged to be guilty in people's minds and in their actions incorrectly. When somebody on social media accuses somebody of doing something dark, you just don't know. You have no idea what the truth is. And even when somebody does something dark to you, you are not in their head. You are not in their mind. You don't know why they're doing what they're doing. You don't know their background, their experiences, their motivations, their reasons for doing what they're doing. And getting any kind of revenge on anybody is dark. It's dark because you don't know the truth, and it's dark because it is spreading darkness. It is not spreading light. Now, I'm sure that there are people out there listening to me thinking, yeah, I'm not buying what this guy is saying. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay for us to have different beliefs about these subjects. But if what I'm saying is making you think, that's good. When you use someone else's words or posts or experiences or judgments or moral convictions or emotions to determine what you believe is true, your beliefs mean nothing. I'm going to say that again, and I would like you to intellectualize this. When you use someone else's words or posts or experiences or judgments or moral convictions or emotions to determine what you believe, not know, what you believe is true, well, your beliefs mean nothing. You're not basing this on information that's come through your eyes, your ears, your experiences, not even your emotions. You're basing it on somebody else's, all of those things. And one thing that I've noticed is, sometimes good people sometimes complain about others publicly, but most people who complain about others, who criticize others, who accuse others of doing dark things, most people who do the accusations are dark people. I think this is very sort of generalized, but you have good people, you have bad people. I think bad people say bad things about others more than good people do. And so if you see anywhere, or you hear anywhere, somebody saying something bad about somebody else, the chances are, in terms of probability, that that person is actually the bad person. You might be able to see in the news, and again, I'm not going to mention names, but you might be able to see, for example, politicians who are very clearly terrible, terrible people who accuse others of the exact terrible things that these people are doing. There is projection from them onto others. And it is true, actually, that the more different you are from somebody, the harder it is for those people to understand and comprehend you and your motivations, your reasons for doing things, your actions, your words. The more ascended you are, the further away you are from others. And others may look at your actions and judge them negatively because they can't imagine doing nice things for nice reasons. And so they look at you doing nice things and they automatically assume that here's a shady character. Here's somebody that is abusing their image of being a nice person. So we do need to be careful about judging others. Human beings are too easily influenced by our emotions and our beliefs. We're so easily manipulated. You see it in advertisements on TV and in social media, online all the time, that the advertisers know that they can catch your attention and get hold of your emotions. If they can engage your emotions, then they can then associate the emotions you're feeling with whatever their sales pitch is. It could just be they're trying to sell a product, but it could be a lie. It could be a lie they're trying to get you to believe. It could be that they are trying to recruit you to do something dark to somebody else. And they will engage your positive emotions, like here are some cute puppies. And when they've got you, engaged in the cuteness of the puppies, they will associate something with you that you they will associate something with that image, with that feeling that makes you feel like that product or that belief or that person is comparable to that feeling that you're feeling, and you will buy into it. They do it with images of attractiveness, whatever people consider to be an attractive person. You put an attractive model up there, and then you have some kind of something that you associate with that, and they pull you in, and they get your emotions involved in that. And they can engage your negative emotions also by showing you images of conflict or violence or some kind of injustice. They get you riled up and angry, and then they say, and this is the person who's responsible. And without logical thinking, without logical deduction, you hate that person too. People are so easily manipulated. We need to be really, really careful about making judgments based on what others are saying. So things like revenge, justice, accountability, discipline, just don't even go there. Back away from that. Be more ascended. These alien beings that are out there, if they wanted to get revenge, justice, discipline people who have harmed them in the past, they would have wiped out our species already. But they don't. They don't do things like that. Think about people in this world who, either fictional or non-fictional, who you hold to high esteem as some kind of a ascended spiritual role model. Do they seek revenge on people? Do they try and get justice on people? The reason why this is so important, the reason why I'm going on about it so much, is because most of the violence in the world is not what I would call a primary offense, not primary violence. There are dark people, a certain number of people in the world who just do dark, violent things. But then most of the violence ends up being propagated by people who respond to that violence with secondary violence. And then you get a response back, and then you get into a cycle, and then other people get involved. And then you end up with about 90%, I don't know, that's just a random arbitrary figure I've got in my head, but it seems about right. About 90% of conflict in the world is happening through secondary, tertiary, etc. offenses and violence. If we could just, when somebody does something dark, we could just go, okay, well, that was dark. I don't need to do anything to stop it. Okay, so that's it. Done. Over. The idea that we have to enforce karma or justice or discipline on others, that causes us to be non-peaceful, to do dark things. Now, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any response to dark people in this world, to violent people in this world. There should be, as I've said. But I think we need to reduce the response to only what is absolutely necessary. In social media, are you putting peace above all else? If you were to look through your social media posts for the last month, have you said anything bad about anybody? Have you criticized anybody specifically? Have you been openly hostile to anybody? If you have, you've been spreading darkness. We can't spread light and peace into this world by spreading darkness and conflict. Something that I occasionally see, which to me is a very dark thing, if somebody ever trusts you enough that you consider yourself to be friends or close in any way, you know, everybody needs somebody close to them to share dark experiences, to share their lives with, to let their walls down, to let their barriers down, and just to have honest conversations. If somebody ever trusts you enough to talk to you in that way, to tell you things in confidence, never betray that trust by revealing what they said publicly to others. Even if you end up hating a person, sharing things that person has said to you in a public setting is very, very dark. I'll be honest with you, when I see in any social media somebody post, say, a screenshot of like, this is a screenshot of a private conversation I was having with somebody, and look at how dark that person is, and look, there's their name as well. That's very dark. That's spreading darkness. So I would suggest never to do that. If I see people doing that, I want to just take a big step back and not really have anything to do with those people. Now, psychologically, due to, you know, billions of years of evolution, we do find it helpful to be able to talk to close friends, close acquaintances, family members about others who are mean to us. I feel that when somebody says or does something annoying, I feel like, oh, I really would like to tell somebody about this. And psychologically, I think most people feel that way. And it is cathartic. It is healing to be able to talk to one or two close friends about that. It helps us psychologically. And I think that's okay, as long as it stays within you know, 2 or 3 people. But we have not evolved to have access to all of these thousands of people in our everyday lives on social media. We don't need to spread our feelings of annoyance or anger to hundreds or thousands of other people. And if we do, we are spreading so much darkness into the world. Social media is an unnatural thing that our psychology has only just been confronted with. And psychologically, it's messing up human interactions to a very large extent. So understanding that could be helpful in getting people to just back away from conflict in social media. It's not natural. We didn't evolve with it. Facebook friends are not the same thing as traditional friends. Followers in social media are not close friends. We need to be cautious, I would say, of serial friending and of serial frienders, especially when we then are treating a community, a large community of people that is basically public. When we're treating them like close friends, we need to be very careful not to share darknesses to everybody. It is contributing to negativity in this world. Now, I actually have a lot more to say on this subject, and maybe I will speak next week on this subject some more. I apologize if it seems like I've rambled a little bit, but I consider these things to be extremely important. And even if I haven't been very eloquent in my delivery, I hope that people will think about the things that I've said and maybe consider whether or not you could make any changes in your life that would result in less darkness being spread, in less conflict being caused, and in more peace being spread. I encourage people once again to put peace very high up on your list of priorities. If you can put peace ahead of all else, then we're fully in tune with each other. I would like to thank you very much for listening to me. If you would like to get involved in any of the things that I'm going to be doing in the coming days, in the coming weeks, like the retreat, the Contact and Ascension retreat in California, in the Tehachapi Mountains, please join my Galactic Wisdom Patreon group. All the information is there. You can also join my Facebook group to have access to all of my different events. Thank you so much for listening. I am going to wish everybody peace, love, and happiness. I look forward to seeing you in person next Thursday. Take care. Goodbye for now.